everyone, I'm Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be reviewing Haunted Mansion. Um, I actually really like this movie. I was skeptical going to see it because I loved like the original with Eddie Murphy. I grew up on that. I watched it nonstop. I thought it was such a good movie. It made me laugh and like brought all the spooky vibes. And this one was like its own separate entity. It like it's basically just like a remake, but like also not a remake. It's just basically like it's not even like the second movie. It's just kind of the Haunted Mansion again, like and reimagined. And I really like that. I think that if you're gonna remake a movie, like this one did it right. So we have this individual. We start off, and he's meeting this girl. Like he runs into this girl. He's out with his coworkers. And he sees her, and like it's sparks fly. It's what is it? New Year's Day, and then we find out later that they end up being like a couple, and he ends up losing her, and then like she believed in like ghosts and stuff and everything. She like led like ghost tours and stuff. They lived in New Orleans, and he was like more like science based, a skeptic, but then like he believed in stuff because of her. And then when she passed, he like wanted to like obviously talk to her, and I guess when he didn't, like that really disappointed him. And so then he's like, there's no ghosts. And then he kind of kept on like doing her tour, but like just did like a historical tour, just to kind of like I guess honor her, but then also like being very disappointed because something that was very like important to her, like he no longer believed in, because now that she was gone, there was no sign that like she would come and visit him like as a ghost, or like she was gone, so he was just very sad. And it was just kind of like that thing where it was just like, yeah, don't believe in them, because it hurts too much. And also like, where's my proof, there's only one way to get my proof right now. And so it was very sad. And then we have Owen Wilson coming in as this priest, and I'm just like, what on earth? And I knew he was going to be in this, and I knew he was going to be a priest, but I was just like, he made me laugh. I knew he wasn't legit, but he made me laugh so much. I think having him in this movie was just as good as having Eddie Murphy. Just having that humor, he was great. And then having Danny DeVito didn't make me laugh. He just was being like so silly that I was just like, no, Danny. Like that was basically it. Owen Wilson made me laugh. Danny DeVito was just like there to do like the silly stuff that you were just like, no, 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 like what? To the point where it eventually made you laugh. So basically, after this scene, there's this mother and son who I thought this was like back in the day, but apparently it's not. I would have liked to have had like a snippet of like what happened before, like a flashback, and see like the old timey like mansion with like the original caretaker and everything, and maybe gotten like a glimpse as to what was happening, like, oh no, and then we're like in modern day. That's not what happened though. I think it still started pretty well. So it's this mother and son, and they dressed very much not like their time, or like the little boy dressed like he was from Texas. I think maybe they were, and like so she dressed very much like a librarian, like long skirts and everything. So it felt very old fashioned in a lot of ways, but I guess it kind of worked. And they go to this new house that they bought, because they bought a creepy mansion to turn into a bed and breakfast, because why not? And not look up what this creepy mansion with all the cobwebs, was used for before, and who lived there, and if anyone died. Because that's the start to every ghost movie. And so they go, and then the little boy sees a ghost, and then a knight ends up chasing them, and they're like, no, we're haunted. And apparently the ghosts follow them, because the ghosts are trying to get rid of this guy with the top hat. I forget his name. It was like some fancy name, that when he was alive, he was like this no good guy, who like killed off anyone that did him wrong and everything, and like dealt with like the occult or something, I don't know. And so yeah, he was beheaded. And I know there's like original like lore to this like guy, so I don't know if it's like the actual story. I don't even think he's supposed to be a bad guy, like linked to like the Haunted Mansion from Disney. I don't know how accurate these stories were. There was a scene that I feel like really did Disney justice, and like this room getting like longer, and so I thought that was great. I don't know how the ceiling ended up being open, but okay. Um, and then Danny DeVito ended up getting possessed when they came up, but that's another story. And I was just like, okay, if the guy wanted to leave, like that was like his option. But anyway, so yeah, so then they, I guess, try to do an exorcism. They called Owen, and then he ends up being haunted. Like the ghosts want to get rid of this guy, like this evil force that came because the original person, he lost his wife. It's more like kind of like how the old story was, where he lost his wife, but then he ended up doing seances like to try like to bring her back or talk to her, and he brought all these like, he opened doors and he like brought all these ghosts in. So there's these ghosts plus the ghost that like ended up going crazy because the other guy, um the evil guy, after he went through the door and like, came through the seance, was like making people go crazy, and then they were dying. He needs 1,000 souls to be able to go in the real world and leave the house. And so basically, yeah, Owen recruits the guy from the beginning. His wife has died, and they go, and they're trying to figure out what these ghosts want, and essentially that's what those ghosts want. They want for this guy to get out. And then so they enlist a medium, and they don't want to bring Danny. I don't know what his really. He's a professor, because guy's old and he's gonna have a heart attack and die. And the heart attack is what makes this ghost possess him. And I'm just like, oh my god, like I already knew when they came back. I'm like, Danny is possessed, and like that's it. Like I didn't think he was gonna tie up the people. Like honestly, like they were gonna be dead, and then bam, like that's it. That's the 1,000 souls. But apparently the last soul has to like go willingly. And then like okay, these ghosts, they're they're basically the people from that died that this hack guy may go crazy. So I guess he still has some control over them, but then like Owen Wilson like talked to them and they were like, no, let's go get him. So like I would think like when they died, they were like, oh well, that okay, what we did was wrong, like, but we have no control over Hack Guy because Hack Guy evil. So we're not gonna go and mess with him. And so that would have been made more sense to me. Instead of all the ghosts trying to kill everybody. I would have liked some nice ghosts. I think there were some, but they were more sarcastic ghosts. So yeah, that was really interesting. And so then they have to like get something that like the original like the top hat guy like had possessed, and I thought it was like something like a body or something, but I guess it meant like, oh, something that he had before. So they go and they find his head or his top hat in like his original house, and they bring that back, and they only need like a piece of it. They're like, at that point, like they only had a piece of it, so they were like, bring the piece of it, we only need a piece of it. I'm like, when did we only I thought we needed the whole thing. No, okay. And then Madam Leona was Jamie Lee Curtis, and they made her look so different in the crystal ball, and then when she came out, she was Jamie Lee Curtis, and I was just like, why does she look like that? Okay, alright, sure. I never thought that she would play Madam Leona, but she played it well. It was just a different kind of take on her, which I thought was really interesting. But I think it was just a really fun movie, and very heartfelt, very cute. I'm really happy that they didn't like right away like put the guy that his wife died and the mom together. Like I hope that progresses over time, but like I didn't want them to be like kissing at the end. Like no, like this guy needs to move on. He wanted to speak to his dead wife, and now he's in a haunted house, and he has to accept that she has moved on and she's happy and all is good. So yeah. And then they ended up at Benihana's with I assume it's Benihana's with the professor played by Danny DeVito, and it just was hilarious. And like he has like all the schematics because like he has written a book about haunted houses, and he wanted to go visit the house, and it was just like they were they I don't know what they were throwing in his mouth, but like he like was a regular there, and I was just like, okay, good for you. And then when they were running away, they were like throwing the things at him, so it was very hilarious. And so uh the medium is like explaining to the guy that basically if he doesn't hear from his wife, then she's at peace. Him feel good. And that was just a really heartfelt moment. And then the little boy, he was like saying, "Oh, my dad wants me to see him," and the guy was like, "Yeah, like totally, like like talk to your mom about it. I'm pretty sure she's chill with that." And then the dad ends up being dead, and it's just like, who is this kid talking to? And then it ends up being like some kind of horror thing, like, oh my god! And then he's talking to Top Hat Guy the whole entire time, and I'm like, but then didn't you want? I think his name is Ben. Like Ben was the guy that his wife died. Like he wanted Ben originally because there was like so much guilt and sadness in him and grieving because of his wife. But if he's been talking to the kid the whole time, like I don't know. I don't know. Was that Plan B, Top Hat Guy? We don't know. How did you put your head back on? Like you lost your head. You didn't do that the whole movie, but then at the end, like he was a full body ghoul, and I was just like, okay, cool. Also there was just like a lot of skeleton ghosts like randomly. I would have like they're just kind of like I felt in the original Haunted Mansion like they did a lot more effort in like having like actual ghosts with like personalities and stuff. These are just kind of like do their bidding and skeletons, like basically like the ghosts that like the Top Hat Guy controlled, like the ones we knew from like the archives of like the people that lived there and went crazy, and then the skeletons from the ground. Like in the original one there was like zombies and stuff. This was just ghost stuff. So yeah, I think that though it all came together really well, and then like the medium ends up talking to like again the this is the same conversation Ben, and she was like, there's moments when like the ghosts or like people that have passed like reach through the I guess the veil and like are able to like give us like what she calls ghost wings, like basically like leave us little messages to like show us that they're here in some way for us, or like not here but like here in some way, and or say hi. And there's this cat that I guess has been outside his house, and then he goes home and he sees the cat, and the cat's name is Tater Tot, and the wife loved tater tots, and she died going to get ice cream, and it was just very sad, and I was just like, oh my god, no. I kind of wanted more on them, more on the wife, because like they just were so interesting. I felt like the flashbacks like were just not enough. But yeah, I thought that it was just a really cute movie. Wasn't really scary. The ghosts, I guess, were a little bit more scary when they were like chasing after them and everything, but like it was more sort of just like kid scary spooky. Like we took my little cousin and he was perfectly fine. And I think that the astral projection scene and everything was really interesting when he was able to like go into the ghost world, and that was really cool. And he was just kind of explaining like how like what he was experiencing, that he was like he felt it was very lively until like the Top Hat Guy went, and that like he kind of saw like a different side to death, and like cuz he was just like willing to give up to Top Hat at one point, and because he wanted to know like what was going on with his wife, if he was able to see her and everything. And then obviously like they snapped him back into reality. It wasn't like so obvious like he was gonna do it, but it was just kind of like, dude is very sad. And then over time like they end up like becoming this sort of family in a sense, and then in the end he's only gonna like give himself up because he cares about them so much. And then they get the little scrap of the hat, and bam, he gone, after actually saying it like 3 times. But like if she immediately when she started the seance, like he was already like in this purple kind of like lightning chains bringing him down. Like she had started the seance before. I said because she didn't have Jamie Lee Curtis, Madam Leona there to like help her, because she was just standing there with the crystal ball, and I don't know why she was just standing there with the crystal ball. Like what did the crystal ball do? So I don't know. But yeah, he's gone. And then they were going to build a bed and breakfast. That's what the mom was going to do. And then she ended up being like part of like something else at the end. She got like another job, and the kid ended up being popular at school. Good for you, kid. So that was kind of weird. I was just like, why didn't you just build your bed and breakfast? Okay, no, all right. But I guess like the ghosts are there. But you could have like somehow made it cool and like this cool haunted bed and breakfast or the tour or something. I don't know. But yeah. And then they just start having a party with the ghosts at the end, and they're just like, yeah. So that was the movie. I thought it was really cute. Nothing much I can say about it that was bad, because I thought it was a pretty good movie. Obviously, like in every movie, there's gonna be some things that you're just like, that didn't make sense, or you're comparing it to the original in some cases. I don't think I compared it to the original that much, because it was just kind of its own thing, like I said. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you all soon. Bye.